I can't believe I got this pin along with a couple of other people. Oh, hey there, you just caught me admiring my Disney 100 D23 Expo exclusive pin that I got at D23 last time. I can't believe it's already been 2 years. I do a special like this every 2 years leading up to D23 to talk about my predictions for the Parks panel and your predictions for the Parks panel, officially known as the Disney Parks Experiences and Products presentation, but we are not going to call it that here today. We wanted to do something more this year though. We wanted to do something completely different, something that has never been done before on Offhand Disney, something that involves you, the viewer. You see, I took to the newly crowned armpit of the internet and posted a little question, a little thread. It's D23 Predictions Week. Reply with your Parks panel predictions here and maybe end up in the video. Only one rule, no mention of people or moving. And I thought it'd be fun, instead of sharing just my boring old opinions, which I'm pretty sure you already all know what I want, I talk about your favorites and what you want to see at D23 this year. So, our first prediction is from Jack from DSNY Newscast, friend of the channel. That's super cool. Jack says, linear magnetic powered Earthling transporter originally designed by Gobber. It's technically allowed. I will be splitting my predictions list up into 3 sort of separate sub-lists in this case. Things that I expect will be announced or expanded upon at the presentation, things that may or may not get announced, just sort of a 50-50 coin flip on if they do, and things that probably won't get announced at the Parks panel, and then maybe a 4th little sub-list below the sub-list, things I really want to happen, but will probably never be announced in any way. Now, many of you who are watching this may remember the lukewarm reception to the D23 Parks panel 2 years ago. If I say last year throughout this video, I apologize. It wasn't last year, it was in 2022. Here is some footage of me I took 2 years ago, just after walking out of the panel. This was fresh after hearing about Beyond Big Thunder Mountain for the first time, so see if you can sort of get a gauge on how I'm feeling. Well, you all saw the Parks panel, and not even counting the PeopleMover, I was expecting a little more. I'll have a full video on that coming soon, obviously, but dang, look how short my hair is. Expecting more was really the consensus walking out of that Parks panel and in the years and months that followed. And before we jump into one of my almost guaranteed predictions, and then we'll go down the list and add one by one as we continue on through this video, let's do another audience suggestion. What do you say? Another audience prediction. Jillian Blum says, return of the predecessor to the rocket rods. Now, I feel like this entry on the list is the most surefire of surefire announcements that we will get at D23 Expo this year, and that is more explanation, perhaps an opening date or a groundbreaking date, or just anything regarding the Avengers e-ticket at Disney California Adventure. Last D23, we got the announcement that the sort of solo free-flying e-ticket with the Avengers and the Quinjet attraction has been canceled, and now Disney has pivoted to a more multiverse-centric attraction starring King Thanos. Is that still in place? I guess we'll find out here in a couple of weeks. But I do expect to get more information on what this Avengers e-ticket actually is, what the ride system is, what we can expect inside of the attraction, and from what I'm hearing, the sort of informed speculation is that it will be similar to the Peter Pan attraction that just opened over in Tokyo DisneySea at Fantasy Springs. That attraction, if you don't know, is sort of like a plussed, improved version of Remy's Ratatouille Adventure over at Epcot. It's a little bit more immersive, a little bit more high budget. But it's sort of that blending between 3D screens and physical sets, physical effects, which I mean, I am interested to see if the screens and the physical sets and even maybe some of the animatronics hit that nice balance. I think this ride could actually be really great. That's if the speculation is to be believed, though. Moving down the list to something that may or may not be announced at D23, DisneylandForward expansions. Now, not every DisneylandForward expansion. There is another one we're going to talk about later, but just expansion into the Simba lot, the Toy Story lot, they may not mention these things because they still may be a ways out. More than 2 years, more than 4 years even. I'm actually more inclined to believe at this point that they are further into planning and finalizing the ideas that they have for Beyond Big Thunder Mountain over in Orlando than they are for DisneylandForward in Anaheim. The measure has passed. It has been approved. The zoning is in place. As of right now, as we speak, now Disney gets to work on what they actually want to do. I think what they wanted to do in the first place was just get it passed, get the thing approved, and then we can start planning these attractions. And now they are, and it's going to take another 3 to 5 years before these plans come to, I guess, not fruition, but announcement, and then probably another 10 to 15 years, maybe even 20 years before this is all done. So we'll see on Offhand Disney D23 2047 predictions. I don't know why they'd skip 2046, but something must have happened that year. I'm calling it now. So right there in the middle of the list, don't expect too much come August on DisneylandForward. We may get a mention, we may get some extra plans regarding a certain blue person themed expansion, but nothing concrete about, say, an Eastern Gateway or an expansion into the parking lots. Not yet, at least. Going more towards the bottom of the list, something that I don't think will be announced at all, it's a 0% chance we'll get any sort of information or announcement about it, is the Country Bear Jamboree returning to Disneyland. Now, okay, hear me out. Recently, Disney made a sort of announcement. They announced that the Hungry Bear restaurant in Critter Country would be rethemed to the Hungry Bear Barbecue Jamboree, more overtly themed after the Country Bear Jamboree. The Hungry Bear was themed after the Jamboree before. This is just going to be more on the nose, on the bear nose. So this announcement has a lot of people talking. Why would Disney announce a re-theme to the Hungry Bear themed more after the Country Bear Jamboree if they don't have any sort of plans on returning it to its original home at Disneyland? And my answer to that is they're just going to tie it into more IP. They're completely redoing the menu to be more of a barbecue joint, and if it's anything like the Regal Eagle at Epcot, I approve. And with the Country Bear Musical Jamboree having just opened over at Walt Disney World's Magic Kingdom, I think that there is sort of a little push inside Imagineering to bring the Country Bears back to sort of social relevancy, at least within the parks with people who may not know the history of Critter Country. But that's all I really think this is just lip service to the attraction that used to be where Winnie the Pooh is now. Maybe, and I say this is a very huge maybe, there'll be sort of a tropical hideaway thing going on where they'll have maybe 1, 2, have I said maybe enough, animatronics of bears sitting there sort of entertaining guests under some sort of covering like Rosita over at the tropical hideaway, but I don't foresee that happening. There's not any guarantee that that will happen at all, but the Country Bear Jamboree returning to Disneyland is certainly not happening. But that's not me saying I hate it, okay? I'd love for the Country Bear Jamboree to return in its original form to Disneyland. That would be just the ultimate daytime show to watch, aside from the Tiki Room, because I do like the Tiki Room, but the chances are slim to none. Alrighty, everybody, pack your bags, get to the airport, and board your flight, because we are flying across the United States of America to Orlando, Florida, because our next 3 predictions are going to be related to Walt Disney World. I mean, it's only fair. We just talked about Disneyland, now we talk about Disney World. Just going over the list real quick. Well, if the Avengers e-ticket is guaranteed to get an announcement, there is another thing that I think is absolutely going to be talked about, and that's the Tropical Americas retheme of Dinoland at Animal Kingdom. I think for sure this is going to get expanded upon, and we'll even get a little explanation as to what that darn Indiana Jones ride is going to be. Disney has already filed permits and gotten approved for a giant sort of trailer headquarters for Imagineering behind Dinoland. I can only assume to monitor the progress of this retheme more closely. And even when you go to just Dinoland normally right now, it feels like that land is just sort of winding down. Like they're aware that in a number of months, the land will be almost completely shut down, if not completely shut down, to make way for this new retheme. And I honestly, call me crazy, I'm kind of excited for it. Don't get me wrong, I love Dinosaur, and if they were to keep one thing from Dinoland, I would vote for that to be Dinosaur, but the ride is getting a little outdated, so a fresh coat of paint in the form of an Indiana Jones attraction, still themed around dinosaurs in some way, I think would be the best of both worlds, and a much, much needed upgrade. We would also be getting an Encanto attraction. I'm hoping what would be maybe a trackless dark ride or just a dark ride in general. And what appears to be a carousel right here, that's the rumor. I could also go for a retheme of Triceratops Spin because we all know how big of a fan I am of that ride. And I am very confident that we will get clarification and finalized date, maybe not opening dates, but closing date for Dinoland and clarification on what these attractions are, what they will be. Go ahead and magically add that to the list. Yep, see, there it is, fading in. Very So, okay, speed it up a little bit. There it is. Okay, it's on the list. Now, what has a chance of being announced? Now, this one may shock a couple of you because it doesn't really make logistical sense, but I think I'm going to stick to my guns on this one and say that Beyond Big Thunder Mountain will maybe get a mention at D23 this year. It might not. There's a very good chance they don't mention it at all. And it doesn't really make sense because last year at Destination D23, they announced the Tropical Americas retheme to Dinoland, and that was announced after Beyond Big Thunder Mountain. Why would they move forward on the retheme of Dinoland before Big Thunder Mountain if Thunder Mountain was announced first? I think it's because, one, the Dinoland retheme is a retheme. It's a lot easier to do, and two, Beyond Big Thunder Mountain is going to be a multi-phase plan. See, as much as I would absolutely love for them to extend that walkway all the way around the rivers of America so that it reconnects with the Haunted Mansion and you can do a big old circle tour of the Magic Kingdom, and I'm sure that's their plan eventually, I don't think that it's going to be part of Phase 1. I mean, take a look at this shot I filmed last time I was in town by Big Thunder Mountain. This is how we would get to Beyond Big Thunder Mountain. All of this has to be developed before they can even start building restaurants and attractions and, I guess, restrooms. There are also probably some restrooms back there. It's going to take a very long time, so it's going to go in stages. And I'm not even really sure Disney knows when that Phase 1 will begin. I know they're doing land surveying back there, so maybe another year, 2 years before they even start clearing the trees. So maybe next D23 we'll hear more concrete plans, but this year I'm not really banking on it. It absolutely could happen, but there's also a very real chance that they'll say nothing. So I'm gonna keep my expectations in check. I'm not expecting for them to say anything. If they do though, it'll be nice. It'll be fun to hear about. Now, I think we need to talk about it, okay? I think it's time for us to talk about it. Okay, Walt Disney World, Magic Kingdom, you already have your PeopleMover, okay? Count your blessings every day that it still exists. We're gonna move over to Epcot for something that I don't think is going to happen at all. Now, when Disney announced the name for the parks panel presentation for this year's D23 Expo, a lot of people were a bit taken aback, me included, because the name for the panel is Horizons. Like Epcot Horizons, like the attraction Horizons. And some people, including me, for like a split second, took this as maybe, just maybe, Epcot will get some love and Horizons will return to Epcot in some way. It wouldn't be the first time Disney has done a sort of ride sequel, right? Horizons originally was a sequel to the Carousel of Progress. And rides like Test Track and Journey into Imagination have sort of gotten sequels in their same building, the same attraction. It's just been a retheme of a new take on the attraction. But unfortunately, I do not think that Mission Space will be closing down in order to make way for New Horizons, nor do I think that the Wonders of Life or Journey into Imagination will be closing down to make way for a new attraction. I do think something will be announced for Epcot. That's going to come in a second though, but we're not going to get Horizons. That name is just Disney being mean to us, and they're being really mean by calling it the name of the best ride I've never been on. Oh, now I think our list is looking pretty good, pretty filled out. Now there are going to be other announcements also, like, I mean, they're definitely going to talk about the cruise ships. I've never been on a Disney cruise. I've never been on a cruise. It doesn't super affect me, but for those of you who are into Disney cruises, don't worry, they're gonna say stuff about cruises and people are gonna be happy about it. I gotta go. I just gotta book one. I'm waiting for the Haunted Mansion Lounge, though. Okay, now flying back to Disneyland, remember I said that there was one thing DisneylandForward expansion-wise that I do think they're going to talk about? One thing that I think is almost guaranteed? That's obviously the Avatar expansion, allegedly coming to Disney California Adventure as part of DisneylandForward. I don't think they're going to go beyond Avatar when it comes to talking about DisneylandForward. I think with it being the initial carrot that Disney dangled in front of the city of Anaheim's face when talking about potential expansion plans for DisneylandForward, I think we're going to get some sort of confirmation on where it's going to go and what we can expect, what attractions we can expect to see, if we can expect to see a restaurant or any sort of outdoor entertainment. We will get more concrete information on Avatar. I am actually pretty dang sure of that. I would say it's probably close to like a 99% chance. So there you have some of my predictions. Now we're going to poll you, again, the audience. What are your predictions for D23? Jesse Gamble says Homo sapiens conveyor. Moving on though, that's okay, doesn't matter. Robo Sensei says Meeple Poover. Okay, that one also doesn't count, just disregard everything they're saying. Chad Fields says, how about a person location changer? Now this one is wait. You know, not that one, no. moving on to the next, it might happen, it might not. We're gonna talk about Disneyland's Tomorrowland here for a second. And before you get too excited, it's not what you think, okay? We're talking about the Autopia. Now, everybody loves the Autopia, unless you don't. It's a very big footprint for a sort of under-trafficked ride. You get to ride around Tomorrowland on the streets of the future in your favorite gas-guzzling, super loud, smelly car. Some people like the attraction, some people don't. I am on the side that actually appreciates and likes the Autopia. Maybe not the gas smell, but it's an attraction that's meant for you to take in the scenery around you. My favorite kind of attraction. And earlier this year, Disney confirmed that the Autopia is actually going to be going all electric by 2026. That's 2 years from now. Now, 2 years from now would be the next D23 Expo. So if they wanted to talk about this update coming to the Autopia, this D23 Expo would be the time to do it. Now, a new electric Autopia could be the herald of a brand new Tomorrowland. It also could just be because it's sponsored by Honda, and Honda is willing to foot the bill to either retrofit the cars with new electric motors or make a completely new fleet of cars with all electric motors. Disney wouldn't be footing the bill as long as Honda stays on for the sponsorship, which I believe they will. But I think that Josh, and I think that Bobby Eyes, and I think that Disney Imagineering know that all of us Disneyland fans are clamoring, absolutely clamoring for any sort of Tomorrowland news. And with this already sort of being approved already and sponsored by Honda, I think this is a very safe announcement to make at the D23 Expo to let people know that, hey, yeah, we haven't forgot about Tomorrowland. We've got some plans. Here's a little taste. It's a very easy announcement to make. It's a very safe announcement to make, and it'll make people happy because, come on, Tomorrowland needs something, anything at all. Please, people, I mean, new Autopia, please. I mean, it's not a 100% guaranteed chance that they'll say something about it, but it's a layup if they do decide to say something about it, which is why this is going in the middle of the list. Might happen, might not. Now we're gonna go a bit off the cuff here, some offhand D23 predictions, okay? If anyone's expecting any fifth gates or any third gates, new park announcements, it's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen for a very, very, very long time. If anyone is expecting maybe a new nighttime parade at the Magic Kingdom, if you've heard those rumors swirling around, that might happen. There's a 50-50 chance of that happening. Not guaranteed, not impossible. I think a new nighttime parade would bring a lot to the Magic Kingdom. I love nighttime parades. Also, bring back Paint the Night. They are definitely going to say something about Disneyland's 70th, which is next year. And if they're going to bring anything back for the 70th, I say Paint the Night and I say Disneyland Forever. Do it, Disney, you cowards, because goodness gracious, Paint the Night was good. A project that I'm actually very excited about, and one that I'm sure we will hear more information on, is Test Track 3.0 at Epcot. We've gotten 2 pieces of concept art so far, but Disney going out and saying that they are basing this attraction on the original World of Motion attraction, it gives me hope that this will be better than 2.0, and dare I say, I know there are a lot of people out there who love it, better than 1.0. If they bring back even just a little bit of the edutainment that made the original World of Motion so memorable, a little bit of the history of transportation, I will be satisfied. And then you have the giant, super fast finale for the ride. It's easily a home run. And I look forward to hearing more about it and potentially an opening date in August. So that is going to go under most definitely going to hear about this. We'll also probably have like a weird out of place brand deal like they did in 2019 with Target. I'm expecting to see something like that also happen at this convention. Like, we have partnered with Vans Shoes to bring you new Pirates of the Caribbean themed Vans. Wait, that actually sounds awesome. That's a bad example. Maybe we could get them talking about the weird Epic Games Fortnite collaboration Disney deal that they signed earlier this year that they announced. That could be the insane brand deal they talk about. Although if I do see Figment gun down Jean Lafitte with a golden scar, I might have to reinstall. We're also definitely getting a Tiana's Bayou Adventure, and I guess by extension, the rest of Critter Country opening date at D23 for Disneyland, I should say. Disney World's, yours is open, okay? You guys have been enjoying that for a while. Let us Disneyland people have our fun eventually. I'm gonna say November. I would say earlier because the ride itself is coming along pretty quickly. It's looking nearly done from the outside. It's just the rest of Critter Country kind of looks like this at the moment, so it's going to take them a while to rebuild all that. And I don't know if you heard, but D23 is hosting its very first ever convention down in Brazil later this year in November. I'm not saying we're going to get another Disney resort or Disney park down in Brazil. I am saying, though, that at some point during the parks panel, they're going to say, stay tuned for November for some more announcements, some fun announcements from D23 Brazil. That's going to go in the middle of the list. That might happen. I also made a video earlier in the year called What is Disney Planning for Figment? Because it looked like Walt Disney Imagineering was teasing something for Figment, with Figment's costumed character walking around the Imagineering campus, having ideas of his own. And I thought maybe this is them teasing Journey into Imagination 4.0. But I am going to put this at the bottom of the list. I don't think anything is going to be announced for Journey into Imagination at this expo. Well, there he is walking into Imagineering. He was previously at the studios. But dang if you can't notice how much hope I've lost over the years. I have just now mentioned Journey into Imagination, saying that it's probably not going to get an announcement. And there's one very big glaring project that I haven't mentioned yet, so we're going to talk about it for reals this time, everybody. But first, let's read some audience suggestions. Magic Mania says Walt Disney World will go strong on Beyond Big Thunder Mountain, Phase 1 desert area and hints to Phase 2, and the Tropical Americas. Spaceship Earth refurbishment will be brought onto the table as well, and Disneyland will focus on the Avengers e-ticket, Pandora, Blue Sky for DisneylandForward, and my bold prediction, we get a Haunted Mansion restaurant. Wow, it's actually a very well thought out answer. Thank you, Magic Mania. Thank you so much. Okay, next up we have Stitch Nerd. The person transporter coming back. All right, you want to talk about it? Let's talk about it. We're talking about it. Screw it. It is obviously my number one hope and my number one dream that Disney will announce the return of the Disneyland PeopleMover this year at D23. Do I expect it to happen? Absolutely not. I think there is a 0% chance we get the announcement of a returning PeopleMover this year. I'd love to be pleasantly surprised, but I buried my hopes and dreams last time in that video, if you watched it. And I'm not going back out there to dig it up. That's a lot of work. It's hot outside right now. It's the summertime. Disney doesn't really have any incentive to fix the PeopleMover. As I mentioned in an earlier video, it's not a Lightning Lane attraction. They can't charge for Lightning Lanes for the PeopleMover. Tomorrowland already gets a lot of, foot traffic anyway without a PeopleMover. Space Mountain is one of the most popular attractions in the park. I think Disney knows, and we know, that there is a problem with Tomorrowland, but they're not in a rush to fix it because the average guest, the average everyday guest visiting the land, doesn't really notice all of the things that we notice. I'm not saying we're smarter than them. I'm just saying, if you look around from an everyday guest perspective, you have the monorail, you have the Autopia, the submarines, half the Matterhorn, Space Mountain, Buzz, Star Tours. The land is really filled out, has a lot of attractions. Do we really need to shut down 90% of it in order to build just a PeopleMover? I don't know. I don't think Disney agrees that Tomorrowland is in disarray right now. I think that they think that it's doing its job well. It's absorbing a bunch of guests, it's selling merchandise, it's selling food, and it's selling Lightning Lanes. Tomorrowland is fine as is. So no, I do not think we'll get a new Tomorrowland or a new PeopleMover this year at D23. Maybe in, 2 or 3 D23s down the road, but this time, my friends, probably not. I know it's not what we want to hear, it's certainly not what I want to hear, but I think it's the most realistic prediction about a new Tomorrowland or a new PeopleMover. But I don't want to end this video on a sour note. I think we all deserve some happiness here at the end, some optimism regarding this year's Parks panel, so let's do something a bit happier. I have a pretty good feeling that we will be receiving an announcement as to what is replacing the Play Pavilion, formerly the Wonders of Life Pavilion, at my favorite park at Walt Disney World, Epcot. And if you were to ask me, the perfect replacement for the Play Pavilion would be an inside-out sort of Cranium Pavilion. Because, you think about it, Cranium Command served as one of the original inspirations for the movie Inside Out, and Inside Out 2 is the highest grossing animated movie of all time. That changed as I was recording this. And everyone's talked about it going into the Imagination Pavilion, but Figment is very popular. Figment remains popular. I think Disney is going to keep Imagination the way it is now and re-theme the Wonders of Life Pavilion into an inside-out mental health pavilion. I think that would be really cool to see, and an inside-out attraction I think would be really, really neat, replacing the former Cranium Command. Is more IP at Epcot a good thing? I guess it depends on who you ask, but if they were to put Inside Out anywhere at Walt Disney World, I think the Wonders of Life is probably the best fit. And that is my happy, sort of positive final prediction. What do you think of what I have laid out here? Does this make any sense to you? Does it look terrible? Does it look too hopeful? I genuinely have no frame of reference anymore. And now to wrap up this video, we will be doing one final viewer submitted prediction. All right, here we go. Tyler Brendy says rocket rods under new management, which I guess is technically allowed. That makes no reference to moving people or people movers. So yeah, rocket rods under new management. Stick a Yago animatronic in there. Stick a Zazu animatronic in Space Mountain. Have them catch on fire sometimes. That is a great prediction. That's my pie in the sky one now. I'm stealing it, Tyler. Rocket rods under new management, announced this year, opening next year at Disneyland. Mark my and Tyler's words. But those are all of my predictions. Now it's your final chance before D23, before my D23 special videos or video, to get your predictions in. What do you think will be announced at this parks panel? And don't say nothing, okay? Nothing is not a valid answer. What is one thing you think will absolutely be announced, and what's one thing you hope will be announced? Your wish. Let me know down in the comments below, and I will see you all in 2 weeks in Anaheim, California for the big day. Hello there, everyone. Thank you all so much for watching this video on my D23 predictions. I am now very, very interested to hear everybody else's D23 predictions down in the comments. I will be down there responding, liking, looking at those comments. It's going to be a great time. I love talking about this sort of thing. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button. And if you're new around here, you want more videos similar to this, which is kind of hard to do. I make a video like this every 2 years. Hit the subscribe button. A very special thank you, as always, to my supporters over at patreon.com/offhanddisney. They help keep this going, and you get early access to videos, and you get exclusive access to videos. If you want to join their ranks, it's just $1 a month. You can pledge more if you feel like it. But there's no pressure. If you'd rather follow me for free, you can on Twitter, Instagram, or TikTok. I posted that Twitter thread, earlier. I used it throughout this whole video. I'm at Offhand Disney on all of those sites. Just makes it a bit easier for you to follow me. You know what I'm saying? But everybody, that is it for this week. I will see you next week for just a fun, classic Offhand Disney video. And then the week after, we're doing it. We're going in on D23. I hope you're excited. I will be there in person. So if you see me, please do not hesitate to say hi, because I love saying hi to everyone who watches my stuff and who gets it, who gets the PeopleMover movement. Getting my head off of that now. Everybody, thank you all so much for watching. See you then.